go surfing now, everybody's learning how, come on a safari with me. Yeah, I'll leave that up to Beach Boys.
Let's go surfing now, everybody's learning how, come on a safari with me.
Good morning and good afternoon YouTube, wherever you may be in the world. First may I just start off by thanking everybody who's took the time to subscribe to my channel and equally comment, and I'm nice to see in some of the comments that somebody's taking positives from my last reviews on the BMW GS. As you can see in front of me, I've now got a different bike, and this is through to varying circumstances which I will not bore you with, but health and finance played a part. But I'm now back up and running, and I've now gone and got myself a much cheaper Yamaha MT09 Tracer. I got rid of the BMW, I couldn't financially keep it during that time, and now it's come time to get back on the bike. I didn't want to go to all the expense of what I did on the BMW, so just a little over £8,000 and you can get yourself one of these little beauties. But is all as good as it sounds? Well, I loved the BMW GS. I don't love the Yamaha MT09 Tracer. However, I love the price of it a lot more than the BMW GS. And being completely honest with you, I do like this bike. It has some quirks, it has, maybe faults is a stronger word, but it has some niggles that initially I weren't happy with. Where the BMW GS I got on road and loved it. This, I loved the feel of it, I love the speed of it, it's a lot more responsive than the BMW, but I did have some handling issues, which then meant I had to take some turns out with the front legs to soften it down at the front, and solved all the problems. But it's these little things, do you want to do, do you need to do, should you have to do? I'm a firm believer that you do need to and you should have to, because bikes are just created, but as so are men and women, but unfortunately bikes are created to the same level, same specs and same weight, but us mere human beings differ in every aspect, size, weight and gender obviously, and that plays a big part on the bike. A bike, albeit you buy it from a showroom, it's not set up for everybody's individual taste. So this is my my steed at the moment. I do like it, I will be keeping it, it does everything it says on the tin, and I'll just get off now and I'll give you a quick insight into what I'm liking about it, what I don't like about it. If I can just, I'll just start with showing you some modifications that I've done to it to personalise it. I've got these handguard LEDs, these are the indicator versions, and you can get daytime running light versions. Really quality stuff off eBay, friendly eBay. And I've also put the genuine Yamaha running lights on. Not everybody's cup of tea, I know, but I think people who know my videos will know that I did get knocked off once, and being seen's really high on my priority. And I've also dropped the main beam down to create a symmetrical and two headlight position rather than the one that Yamaha send it out from the showroom with. I know that does derogate from, or take away, derogate, make words up. That takes away a little from the main beam on a night time, but I don't do much nighttime riding. And the LED lights, to be quite frank, are really good. So initially, oh, the screen, you probably noticed that the Yamaha little screen's gone, and I've replaced it with this Air Max screen. Okay, not brilliant, but I'll cover that off while I'm having a quick tootle. I'll do a little acceleration test for you here. It's got three modes. It's got an A mode, a standard mode and a B mode. B mode is more dead, flattened for road and wet weather use. A mode releases all the power, but I'm currently in this normal standard mode. So if we see what it does in the standard mode, I've got the ABS switched on because it does stop the front end coming up, and this does have a tendency to do that. So without further ado, because I know you're bored, let's get this show on the road. So it's no slouch. As you can tell, it covers the ground relatively quickly. Front end has a tendency to come up even though it's got the ABS on. The traction control, should I say. The traction control switched on, which acts as a kind of anti-wheelie, but the front end still has a tendency to come up on hard acceleration. But it's nice, as you could see. You just keep it pinned, drive through it, and it's a bundle of fun. I've tried it with it off, and the thing is, I'm no wheelie hero. Far from being a wheelie hero. I'm a wheelie chicken. On the main road, when the front end comes up, I kind of shit a brick most of the time, so I either kill the throttle or dab the back brake, and it's not an attractive thing. Maybe when I get better, that'll be something I could master a bit more nicer for you guys to see, but it's pointless me pretending to be something I'm not. But so the traction control therefore keeps it down. As you can see, lean handle's really good. It's really light, really responsive. You can really get it down, and there's no drama. You're not having to hang off the seat to get it to go down bends. You can genuinely. It's just a matter of a flick and a little bit of foot peg weight, and round you go. I'll try and not get that enthusiastic this time round, because every time I come out on bike I always end up riding a bit too enthusiastically, which means I don't talk, which makes a crap review. You see it on the roundabouts there, really positive, really nice to feel. Initially didn't feel like that until I took the 2 turns out the suspension tops, and that just the bike came alive. If people do take it for a test drive and have some front end feeling issues, or you can't quite put your finger on it, I genuinely think that suspension setup is the way to go. And whether you pay somebody else to do it properly, doing the sag levels, or whether you're competent enough just to soften it off or harden it up, depending on what your preference is. Wind noise is a biggie on this bike. It was with the standard screen, hence the reason I got this Max screen. And I'll be completely honest with you, this is the 50cm Max screen. Far better than standard, but still far from perfect. It takes a lot of the wind noise away, or the wind noise and pressure away from the top of your body and shoulders, but then it doesn't get rid of the wind noise from around the helmet. I mean, if you just... Oh, very nice, thank you very much. If you still get wind noise around the helmet, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick that up on the microphone, and I hope it's not too loud where you can't hear my voice. I keep dipping my head a little bit just because it's really just it's just an inch, so it's not a complete fail. I'm just not sure it's not perfect, and us bikers want perfect. Well, some of us bikers want perfect. I touched on the price in the UK, a little over £8,000. I know there's a lot of deals and bargains out there, so find your own specifications on that, because some people are doing heated grips, some people aren't, some people are doing fog, some people aren't. But just slightly over £8,000, I got this in standard disguise without any additional extras. I put the rim teep on, I put the screen on, and I obviously did the headlamps and handguards. Another disappointment's probably a strong word. Another niggle is handguards. I really like them because they keep the wind off your hands. These are really built in, really nice, suit the bike beautifully. But the first thing I do when I get a motorcycle is I change the position of the levers, because normally they're too flat and I like to have them down so my hand goes down to them naturally. But the handguards are actually built into the same mechanism of the levers, so when you drop your levers down, your handguards go down, and there's no way to compensate for that without either getting mechanical and bending some metal or creating new brackets. Getting lots of waves today. My GS were kind of an ignoring machine. I think people rode past you for, "You've got far too much money, you fuck off." Excuse my French. Yes, so the Tracer, really nice bike. I'll just cover some ground here really quickly. Obviously doing the speed limit at 60 miles an hour. I'll drop it down a few gears, down into third, revs it at 5,000 RPM. Actually, I could go down into second at this point and only 6,000 RPM. And if I wind it on, sounds beautiful, and it really does cover that ground. I'll start braking now, because cars are coming to a stop. Yes, so that was from 59 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour. I hope you picked up the sound from the exhaust. Covers the ground, revs really nice. The cross-plane crank, the cross-plane crank triple engines is absolutely a peach. Sounds really nice, and it sounds really nice at really low revs. So it starts humming at around, I don't know, 3,000–4,000 RPM. You're getting this nice little ring from it, and then as you get higher up in the RPM range, the noise kind of goes deeper, more throaty. It's very it's one of those bikes that makes you want to play on it. My GS won my last bike. I won't and can't really compare it to the GS. The GS was an all-rounder. It did do off-road. It's designed to do off-road. This in particular isn't designed to go off-road. You can go down muck tracks on it, but Baron went down a muck track on a GSXR, so you know what I mean. Any bike's really capable of going on mild off-roading. What this has got in its favour of that sort of thing is it's really light, and it's really balanced. So slow speed on off-road is easier. I've done it, I've no video footage of it. Can you go off-road? And I said I hadn't filmed some, so I thought I'd better just add a bit in just to make it a bit more comprehensive of a review. I know I said you could, and I said you could do some gentle green laning, and it's pointless saying you can without trying to prove you can. Now this is somewhere I used to come on my CRF. It is fairly gentle. There is some bad bits, but you know what I mean. Actually, I'm in standard mode, and maybe I should put it in B mode, because that will kill the throttle off a little bit and make it a bit more usable. But as you can see, I'm not going to stand up on the pegs because there really isn't a lot of need to on this bit, but you can see I know it's early days, but it's fine, it's stable enough. I certainly wouldn't want to be rocking it around here trying to wank back end out, but absolutely it does what it needs to do. If you wanted to have a play somewhere or a little adventure, proof if needed that you can. I mean, this is a bit, the camera never gives it justice, but this is a bit rutted, and it's handling it quite well. Suspension's doing actually better than I thought it would be on these bits, but absolutely it's working fine, it's doing the job. So yeah, get out there and adventure. Now I'll get back to the other video and carry on with the review. Well, to be fair, I'm having a lot of fun, so I might stay here for a little bit. The thing is, these aren't the sort of places you want to be picking up a 200 kilogram bike from by yourself. But yeah, here we go. So anyway, back to the main review. But yeah, you can go off-road on this, but not serious off-roading. You're certainly not going to take it over boulders, rocks and serious hill climbing. You haven't got the engine clearance, and truthfully it just isn't that type of bike. I know it's badged as an adventure bike, but it's not always an off-road adventure when manufacturers are selling that lifestyle. People say the seat's uncomfortable on this. It's firm, but I don't find it uncomfortable. I don't know if that's because my pain receptors in my bum are numb, and that's not through no, well, let's not go there, but that's not through any sexual activities. This bike allegedly has some comfort issues. I can't really comment on that because I've not been in the saddle more than 3 hours, and I'm fine with that, although I do know it is firm. but a lot of riders, especially of adventure bikes, like to get stood up on the pegs. One, on long distances it's great to be able to stretch out, and two, if you are having comfort issues, it's nice to be able to get off your backside. And as you can see here, you can stand up quite easily, get up onto the pegs. There's no issues with transition. It is comfortable. I've still got quite a lot of control of the bike. Hands are in a really nice position, and yeah, it's you can manoeuvre, turn. It's every bit as good stood up on this bike as any other bike that I've been able to stand up on, like the Varaderos and Jess and things like that. So yeah, that's a tick in the box. So I'll get back to the other video. A lot of people say the front end gets loose and wobbles. You get a bit of instability at certain speeds. I've experienced that once on the motorway, and I think a lot of that were down to wind and turbulence from the wagons and other traffic. Just let me navigate this. Yeah, so and as you saw back there when I accelerated up to 60 miles an hour, I didn't get much problems. I know when I give it a lot of beans out of roundabouts, I sometimes get a bit of an head shake on, but I've got to be honest with you, I've had that on sports bikes when I'm giving it, when you're caning a bike, sometimes when the front end comes up light and skips across the floor, that's not instability really, that's the suspension issues and the fact that the front wheel's floating above the road. So let's wrap this up, because I know I've got a lot of rambling in my... I always think, what can I talk about, how can I talk about it, and then I set off riding, I could talk forever, and I know that you guys haven't got forever to listen. It's a good bike. It's a cheap bike, come on, I mean, there's not many bikes out there of this quality for that sort of money. It's hard, you can't compare it to other bikes. If you start comparing it to BMW GS's, you're on a sticky wicket, because a GS is 4 or 5 grand more than this bike. But equally, it's a big bike. It's got loads of wind protection, the shape of the tank, the fairing, the handguards. It is a really good bike. It's a comfortable bike. I could do loads of miles on it, and I wanted to get back on 2 wheels, and this is where I'm at. I'm at a MT09 Tracer. Some faults, like I say, faults is a strong word. Some niggles, the instability issues I'm not too certain of. The wind, the screen is definitely not that good on the original one, but that said, it works fine. Some people can ride bikes without them, so maybe I'm just old and spoilt. Handguards, like I say, are great, really good, really offer a lot of protection, but as soon as you drop your levers down to get them into this position, your handguards are pointing down and then become less effective. Seat is comfortable. It's not comfortable. It's a hard seat, but I'm coping with it fine. Could it be more comfortable? Absolutely could. Could Yamaha have done more with this bike to make it perfect? Yeah, they could have spent a lot more money on a full screen that matched the front end a lot better. They could have spent more money on an expensive and more comfortable seat. They could have spent a lot more on this mechanism to allow you to be able to alter things. But if they'd have done all that, it wouldn't be an 8 grand bike, it'd be a 10 grand bike. And luckily, all these things are just little niggles. The bike is fun, the smile factor, the noise even out of the standard exhaust is really, really good, and yeah, I have got no issues with purchasing this bike. I've got no regrets about purchasing this bike, and I actually feel good every day when I know what I paid for riding this bike, for buying this bike and being able to ride it. You can spend a bit of money on and personalise it, make it more like what you want it to be. And again, thank you very much for taking the time to view. I hope I haven't bored you stupid. If I've missed anything out that you think I need to cover off or should cover off, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll try and do another small video to try and address them things. But yeah, it's a great motorcycle. It's a great priced motorcycle. The critic in us wants to critic everything, but let's be honest, it's fantastic. For the money, it's a fantastic bike. There's loads of options for it. There'll be more options coming out as the time gets on and they get more popular. Yes, so go get one. Adjust the suspension, I'd say, to people who feel it's not right, because it'll transform it. It really will transform the bike. Again, thank you very much all for watching. Thank you very much for getting to the end, and I'll see you on my travels. Thank you very much. Goodbye.